All right, and we're live. Hey, peeps, it's your girl K-Cee Deeva here on this wonderful, wacky Wednesday. The weather's been kind of crazy the last couple of days. Very windy. It's getting a little colder. I've actually had to turn my heat on, although I fought it for a while. Finally had to turn the heat on, because I do not like to be cold whatsoever. But I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. You're halfway there. It's hump day, midweek. I don't know about for you, but the days kind of meld all together during this whole COVID thing and quarantine thing. But, we're just taking it one day at a time. So thanks for tuning in, Dish with Deeva. I'm K-Cee Deeva, bringing you this every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m., YouTube and Facebook. So thanks for tuning in. Now, my special guest for today is the lovely Maya Jenkins. Maya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. Now, so I found out about Maya back in my Rainier Avenue radio days, about like a year and a half ago, I think it was. I've been wanting to get her on the show, and the timing wasn't right. Now I'm doing this show, and she was on I have a long list of people that I want to eventually have on the show, and you were on that list. So I'm glad we were able to make this work.
I know. Who knew it would be virtually in the middle of a pandemic, but
right.
Exactly.
Anyways. Well, it's like we were talking about a couple of minutes ago, we just gotta, be creative and just kind of figure out how to keep this thing going. So, so welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Now, for those who don't know, Maya, what I just found out is that she's got a pretty lengthy background in music, and but she's most known for tap dancing, which, as I was telling her, I've always been fascinated with tap dancing. I'm the most uncoordinated, clumsy person, so not something I would ever personally attempt, but I do admire those that can do it very well. And I've seen some clips of her, and she's very good, so I'm excited to have her on the show. So stay tuned to the end, because she's going to give us a little performance, so you don't want to miss that. All right, Maya. So, when did you start tap dancing? At what age were you?
So I was 7 years old when my mom found a teacher by the name of Cheryl Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I, with a friend of mine, did maybe about a year of like private lessons, and then we took a break. And I come from a musical family, so I actually was very serious about playing the cello and classical music. Suzuki method. So
nice.
That was really a foundation for me. And then it was like age 10. Well, no, rewind. So I was 9, and my mom found a ballet class for me. So I'm not going to knock ballet. However, it was meant to be, because I then found tap dancing through that, because ballet, it didn't sit well with me. The music, yes, but the dance side of it, no. So then I go into this class with Cheryl Johnson again. She had found this cool group of young people, 9, 10, 11 age group. And, I'm like, hold on. Rose Brown playing, and it's a dance class, and people my age, all shapes, sizes, colors. It was fine. So the rest was history. It was not easy at first. And to tell you the truth, I wanted to quit. And my parents were like, nope, you're going to get private lessons. So after that, then the rest was history, just resonated. And I knew that was my purpose, my purpose, in that connection between this type of, dancing and the connection between jazz and all kinds of things just really come for me.
Right. Now, so first of all, are you born and raised Seattle? Are you native Seattle?
Yep, born and raised in Seattle.
Okay. It's funny. I don't find there's not a lot of us anymore. At least I don't run into them. I mean, a lot of transplants, and I'm like, are there any more folks that actually are
original. Original. I did leave, but I came back.
Oh,
yeah. While I was gone, I made sure people knew Seattle.
Yes.
I don't move somewhere else.
I find people always do come back. It's one of those places you might leave for a few years, but they always seem to come back around.
Yeah.
It's home.
Seattle's a great place to come back to. I have a
It
new
is.
appreciation for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So who were some of your your idols or mentors growing up? Was there anyone in the tap dance world that you looked to specifically, to kind of learn their style or admired?
So Cheryl Johnson really gave me an incredible foundation so that I could, really know the history of where it comes from and people that have come before me. So that was extremely, extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And the tricky thing is with tap dancing specifically, you have to get a lot of that history through video footage
Oh yeah.
from other older tap dancers who fortunately at that time were still alive. So there were tap festivals I would go to, and there I got to meet Diane Walker, who's one of my top female, mentors and people that I've always looked up to as a woman tap dancer. Jimmy Slide is another one. Buster Brown, another, those two I definitely, they resonated with me and then really took me under their wing. I didn't see them often, but when I did, I made sure to listen. It's like this tradition really is passed down by stories and talking and sitting with people who've been there and their experiences with live shows and as people of color having to go in the back entrance, and just different stories like that. It's very interesting. So that's my foundation. These tap festivals, where we all get together as a tap community and share steps and steal steps and learn from each other. Sessions and learning and, always being a student. I think that the true masters will never call themselves a master because they're always students. And to me, that's
I love that. Yeah. Always learning. Always room to learn.
Always
I
learning.
agree. So how many are in the tap community? Is it a large community in Seattle?
It is, people have kind of moved away and came back, but I'm excited to find some younger people who maybe I haven't met yet. When I was teaching, so when I moved back after living in New York for about 8 years, I taught at Northwest Tap Connection for about 8 or 9 years. And so it's really cool to see a lot of my students from there evolving and kind of starting their own, tap groups or, finding their own voice. And, it's kind of spread out, Redmond, and different areas. So I think that with everyone kind of stuck at home, I think, some new things are brewing. So I don't really know if anything is changing, but I think it's something to embrace at this point.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your New York experience. Were you tapping when you're in New York? It seems like, to me, it seems like New York would be like one of those super, super competitive places, like in LA or, is it different than Seattle? Good old Seattle.
Well,
slow Seattle.
The thing is, like, Seattle has given birth to so many musicians. And so Seattle's really known for that. But I was very intentional in moving to New York. Like we talked about, I have a background in music. So a lot of people don't know, but I went to NYU for jazz piano performance. So
wow, that's awesome.
Part of, my background in music, dancing. And so I don't think there is one without the other. And I, when I was younger, came across one of my biggest mentors, Savion Glover. And him, and that's actually who I ended up dancing with in New York, in a tap dance company called Tie-Dye, Tidii. That was his second dance company after he was on Broadway with Bring the Noise, Bring the Funk, and then Knots, or Not Your Ordinary Tap Dancers, was another group, and then there was Tie-Dye. So we, toured, and I mean, our first gig, I'm like, man, let me just go back to that moment for and, like,
how cool is that?
Like, now, then, that's what I want to do.
Right.
Our first gig was opening the film festival in France.
Whoa, that's
to be so close and learn so closely from someone like him. You know, I never knew Gregory Hines personally. I met him, but I didn't know him personally. But I feel like a part of me did because of Savion. So I, you know, knew pieces of him through Savion, and so that's kind of a part of this tradition when people are passed on, or you learn about them through the people who are here now. And so that's really something very, very, very special, you know. And
That's
like,
one thing you'll never forget. Like that's
yeah,
amazing. What an amazing experience.
remember all those routines, man. But you know,
Right, right.
in
Did,
there,
did, did you take a lot of videos maybe? You
yeah,
know?
that's, you know, pretty protected.
Hmm.
Footage. It's, you know, it's kind of like gold. So
Right, right, sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So now, what are some of your locally or to travel a little bit venues that you've enjoyed most, or maybe performances? Do you have a favorite performance that just resonates with you?
So one of my favorite performances was um, actually when I moved back from New York in 2008. I got connected with some different hip hop groups in Seattle, Gabriel Teodros and Candid,
Oh,
and Miss Flows and Karma Latte Band. So I started,
yeah.
you know, doing some stuff with them, singing and
Hmm.
dancing. So one of my favorite moments um, was at Chop Suey with Gabriel Teodros and his band at the time. And I had a really cool exchange with Aaron Walker Loud, drummer, and it was just one of those moments, man. I just
Oh,
just
very cool.
so authentic, and we were just it was just the vibe was there, the support
Mhm.
was there, just so positive, and uh, you know, just
Yeah,
inspiration and around people that make you better, you know,
yeah,
not as a performer but as a human being. So
right, right. Actually, Gabriel, he was on my show on Northwest Connection,
I like
and he was just such a down to earth guy, like
the
so
friend.
easy to talk to.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, I had a great time talking with him.
yes, yes,
Oh, how fun! How fun! So, let's talk about like, obviously the current situation, the pandemic, the quarantine. You aren't able to perform in person,
yeah,
and a lot of when I think about tap dance and just all types of performances in general. You really kind of feed off the audience, right?
yeah,
At least that's what I hear from a lot of performers. Now we're in this video platform,
right.
so you're still able to do it, but talk about some of the differences and kind of maybe
Yeah.
what you miss most about like not having actually being a person able to do your craft.
So what's interesting is I actually haven't performed in a while.
Mhm.
So, you know, I don't have the experience as some people who were actively working, you know, performing and then had that, you know, taken away,
Mhm.
shut down. I'm actually finding that again in this situation.
Mhm.
Um, And so, like with the teaching classes and stuff that I'm starting online, I was
Mhm.
hesitant this whole time, like seeing other people teach online. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, wait, that's a thing? Hold on a minute.
Mhm.
How do they do it? And it was just weirded me out this whole time until recently. I'm like, you know what? You are going to get comfortable being uncomfortable
Mhm.
because
I
you
love it.
somebody else can benefit from this, and
Mhm.
it's bigger than me. And so once that came into me, into my spirit, it's like,
Mhm.
oh man, okay, I'm gonna do it. You know,
I
I'll be
gotta do it.
weirds me out, but
Yeah.
you know, we need this connection so bad, even
Yeah.
if it's weird and it's through a screen.
Mhm.
We're here right now, still we're breathing and we're blessed,
Right.
and you know, talking to you is a blessing. Having this experience,
Mhm.
it's just uh you know, it's I think some pieces of this people are going to keep, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I do. I
Yeah.
really I think it's opening our minds, and we're all in our phones anyway on the computer screen. So we might learn to incorporate it into our passion in our life and create something new. I think things are going to come from this that we don't even know yet.
I 200% agree with you. I say it all the time. I'm like, this is, this whole situation, I think has forced everyone just to stop. We were essentially stuck in our homes, not able to have that physical connection with people we're used to,
Right.
and so having to really dig deep and it's almost like we shut down for a while. And now I'm starting to see people really say, okay, like you just said, okay, I can still do this, but I just have to change the game plan a little bit. So, before we end the show, I'm going to have you give out your information about the classes. I think that's awesome. You're doing it online. I think music and dance it just does wonders for the soul. And I think it's so amazing, people like yourself that are able to do this, where people can see you all over, essentially, not just in Seattle. It could be, anywhere, in this platform. So, speaking of which, I promised people that you were going to do a little number for us. So if you're ready,
I'm ready.
we can get set up.
I'm just going to make sure we can see.
Okay.
And so let's see here. You can let me know if we can see. Here, let me just angle this down.
Perfect. Yay!
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. That was amazing. I mean, you make it look so easy.
You think that you have 2 left feet, but I need you in my class.
I know. I was like, that looks like so much fun.
Yeah, you're my top recruit.
Yes, that was amazing. Great job. So tell me, how much practice, like how long does it take to, assuming you come up with your own routines and like, what's the time frame for something like that? Like that what you just did?
Just like, 30 years. I'm just kidding. So a lot of what we do, well, I mean, at this point, aside from teaching or choreography, most of what I do is improv.
Okay.
So the thing is, just like learning a language, you learn, like I call it the ABCs of tap dancing. So there's the basic steps, just like when you learn a language, you learn the alphabet. Then you learn, and the pronunciation. You learn words. You learn the meaning of those words, how to say them. Then you start putting some words together. Then you can make sentences. Then you can start to put some sentences together. Then you can start to have a conversation and say something. So to me, that's my process, is the basics. The basics.
Yeah.
So important. If all else fails, you've got to have the foundation and those basics so you can build. That's like the skeleton of our body, you know, the same thing. So you don't want to skip over these things to get to the fancy stuff. Because what are you going to, okay, well, that sounds busy, but what are you really saying? You know, sometimes less is more. You don't have to, you know, have a run-on sentence. You know, it's, you can do that as expression, just like jazz musicians, you know, scale. You can pick and choose what you say in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm impressed. You know, you did a great job. You're amazing. And so let's talk about the online classes. Have they started yet, or they're coming up?
Yep, we've started. So every Saturday. So, you know, I'll probably add on more classes, you know, when, you know, depending on maybe requests or demand. But for right now, there's 2 classes every Saturday, beginning class at 10 a.m. and then intermediate level class at 11:30. And each class is 1 hour. And, you know, I don't restrict the age. You know, it's pretty much people reach out to me and they might ask some questions. Beginner class is, you know, could be 0 experience or it's been a while. I've had a handful of people, I always wanted to do this, or I did this when I was younger and I want to get back to it. So it could be a good refresher to just in class, or for divas with 2 left feet and just say. And then the intermediate class is great for people who kind of have a basic foundation. And then, and, you know, kind of, I can kind of cater to who's in the class too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right on, right on. Okay, so
you're old in the class, but
yeah.
Run around the whole time, but
oh, that's cute.
Some families could do it. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome. How do they get in touch with you? What's all your contact info?
My email, that's going to be connected to my Facebook page. If you look up Maya Jenkins Tap, that page will come up on Facebook. And so it's also mayajenkinstap@gmail.com. So through the page, it'll connect you to the Eventbrite link. I figured out how to do it. And then you can register for the class. And then once you register, then I'll send you the link.
Sounds good. Well, Maya, this was so fun. The time went by super fast.
I know, but it's a good sign.
Yes, went by super fast. We'll definitely have to have you back on. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. Definitely, I'll be thinking about taking those classes. Like I said, I'm a little clumsy, so I'm a little nervous. You know, I can't be falling again.
Oh yeah, well, you know what? You could sit in a chair though. So enough, my mom with my younger child has special needs, and you know, just living in that inclusive world, it did cross to have a class, you know, sooner than later, with people of all abilities. So if you have a movement, or even if you can't move your legs, what if you could just with your hands?
Right.
Like that. So I think that's something that can really be created through this too. I don't think I would have ever thought of it if we hadn't been stuck at home.
Right. Absolutely. Again, you know, it's forcing people to really think outside the box. And I just love all the creativity, you know, all the folks that I've had on the show that I've just talked to in conversation and friends doing stuff. You know, I just love it. I'm excited. So, well, thank you again. And, you know, if you also go to my page, this video will be on the page if you want to watch her tap again, or if you're just joining us and you missed the show. You can see her performance on my YouTube page or my Facebook page, either one of those pages as well. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you.
I will be talking with you soon. And next week, Dish with Diva, same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. K-Cee Diva shows on YouTube. on my K-Cee Diva Facebook page, on the Dish with Diva Facebook page as well. If you want to email me, I'm at kcdiva@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest on the show, we're trying to promote some talent here, so hit me up and we'll get you on. I'd love to chat with you. All right, I'm going to say goodbye, and I